Our international affairs editor, Kethevane Gorjestani, joins us to assess that debate in Philadelphia. Kethevane, pets aside, what is the overall takeaway from that debate?
Well, there were really two pieces to this debate. The first 15 minutes, basically, that were focused on the economy were pretty much a win for Donald Trump for several reasons. One is because it's an issue that favors Republicans. Two, because Kamala Harris wasn't really able to put forward really what she was going to do. She stayed pretty vague on some of the elements of her economic policy. And three, because it was the only time during this debate that Donald Trump stayed on message, what his campaign wanted him to do, which is stay focused, don't go off on tangent, focus on this issue, on the policy, and that's what he did really well. But after that, there was a whole different debate, one that Kamala Harris dominated because she managed to get him off track, managed to get him off message. And we saw in that soundbite between the two big moments in that debate, which is Kamala Harris on abortion, an issue that favors Democrats and on which she was extremely successful in that debate. But also it showed Donald Trump on another subject that should have favored him, on which he was supposed to attack Kamala Harris, which is the immigration policy. And instead of that, he went off on a tangent about this fake news that has been debunked many times since, which is that immigrants in Springfield are stealing pets and eating them. So he failed to use something that could have been to his advantage to attack her. And there were several elements of that throughout that debate. For example, on the Afghan withdrawal, which is also a weakness for the Democrats, he was unable to grasp that and to be able to attack her. So overall, it seemed like she dominated a big chunk of it, but she was also unable really of doing one of the goals that her campaign had set out for her, which is convince those people who don't know enough about her, who say they don't know enough about her to decide, to tell them what she's about. And she managed to do well on attacking Trump, maybe not so much on presenting herself.
And Kamala Harris clearly had a plan to get under Donald Trump's skin, some might say a fairly thin skin. How successful was this strategy?
That was extremely successful. One, it seems, the right strategy, because that was a big question. The Democrats were very clear about the fact that she was going to bait him. That was the goal from the get-go. But the Republicans, their messaging and their strategy was stay on message, don't take the bait. And he did take the bait, and we saw that with the pet comment. We saw that also when Kamala Harris very successfully pivoted off of a question on immigration where she could have been seen as weak, and pivoted to saying that people should go to Donald Trump rallies and see that his own supporters really find his rallies boring and actually start leaving after a short amount of time. And that was a bait that Donald Trump wasn't able to not take, because he got extremely angry, extremely antsy, and responded by saying that he had the greatest rallies in the history of the country. And he got sidetracked off of immigration, which was supposed to be one of his main issues. So she really performed on that strategy of baiting him over and over again, and she managed to do that throughout that debate. So her campaign clearly at this point is very happy with the way she performed in this debate, so much so that just minutes after the debate was over, they were offering to do a second debate, which Kamala Harris hadn't agreed to initially. We're still waiting to see if Donald Trump is going to take that bait, because usually the person who asks for another debate believes that they have won the first one.
And the voters in opinion polls taken immediately after that debate seem to agree. They overwhelmingly think that Kamala Harris won the debate. What effect, if any, is this debate going to have on the election on November 5th?
Well, look, it's very hard to determine how much of an impact a debate has. As you said, the immediate polls show that people, even Republicans, a lot of them, about 2/3, believe that Kamala Harris won this debate, but some of the other polling on whether this has changed their minds, whether they're reconsidering, whether they believe that Kamala Harris is fit for the job, those numbers changed a little bit, but not as much as the has she won the debate. So there is a question about how independents or moderates or undecided voters are going to take that in, because the people on the left, they had their minds made up. The people on the right had their minds made up. It's really about those people who are still a little bit undecided about where they're going. That could make a difference. And we know that this race is going to be extremely close. So maybe even a small, tiny movement might change something in the race, might tip it one way or the other. And we have to remember also that, yes, we're talking about Election Day on November 5th, but millions of Americans will have voted even before November 5th. Actually, in Pennsylvania, where that debate was taking place, Pennsylvania is going to start in-person early voting on Monday. So this debate for the people who watch is still going to be very fresh on their minds. So it could have maybe more of an effect on the people who are going to be voting very quickly after it, rather than the people maybe who will wait until November 5th.
Thank you very much for that, Kethevane Gorjestani.